So thank you, Jason. I absolutely appreciate it. And I'll turn it over to you to get started.
You're welcome, Brian. Obviously, I love to get on the phone and meet new people, and especially individuals that are already part of the ecosystem, or people that are wanting to join and have some questions and that come up. Obviously, this is something that is very different from a lot of things that really anybody's ever done. So let me kind of give you can I get a real quick overview? I mean, are these individuals already in? Are they not? Have they at least seen some of the?
Yeah,
I would say 80% of the people are in.
yeah.
We have about 20% that are looking. The ones that are looking are $100,000 a month marketers and such, and very seven-figure crypto enthusiasts. So everyone here is positive. No one's going to ask you, how do I know it's not a scam? So you're not going to deal with that today. And yeah, really good.
Well,
people.
if I did, I'd go through that as well, and I get that quite a bit, but that's fine. Okay, well, that kind of gives you a better idea. So let me kind of give you just I haven't been on the phone with many of you, and so let me kind of just give you a quick overview of DebtBox, how it came about, and how we kind of got to where we're at. My life actually started just like everybody else's in a 9-to-5 job, and I actually started fixing and flipping houses. I'll go through a quick little summary of background. I got tired of working hard and paying my financier to finance my houses. Got to a point where I realized that I was writing more money to my financier, hard money lender, than I was making flipping houses. So I actually wanted to be the other guy writing a check. I started my first fund when I was 21 years old. I had a gift of raising money. I raised over $100 million in 2 years, turned that into a venture capital fund. I turned the venture capital fund into a full-blown hedge fund and ran that for over a decade, trading about $1 billion a day in the market. So in that nice decade period of time, we saw a lot of opportunities. A lot of my background and my family is all in very safe, secure type of investments. We've always dealt with silver, gold, a lot of commodities, real estate. And so obviously in the hedge fund world, that's what we basically kept with the leverage we had. Even a very simple bond interest, we made pretty decent money if we got a little bit creative and actually started going for exploration. We made quite a bit more money. It got us into West Africa. My family has been in Ghana since 2009. And it's been a good venture. It's been something that we've been able to get a lot of relationships. It got us into a sector we really didn't have a lot of knowledge in to begin with, but we learned with the hard knocks of losing before we won. And, you know, we basically got to a point where we loved the country, but we loved what we were doing for the people. And so that is kind of the creation of DebtBox. It's basically 15 years of my life that has gone together to create an ecosystem in the commodities sector. We invested a lot into blockchain technology in the early phases. I've been heavy in Bitcoin mining. I've been heavy in Ethereum mining. And, you know, it all has its pluses. It all has its minuses. What we basically wanted to do is come up with a good way to encapsulate the security of commodities in the blockchain sector. Really, the only way to do that is kind of put together a revenue model that works similar to Wall Street in the crypto space. And that's basically what we've done with DebtBox. So imagine being able to be in crypto, but have royalties and revenues coming in every single month that enhances the tokenomics of a project and kind of runs. We obviously started with gold. It's what we know. It's what we have a lot of resources behind. We then immediately launched into oil with BGLD. Next projects out were agricultural for grow, natural gas, because we actually already have natural gas coming out of our oil wells. We were burning off a good majority of it, so it gave us an opportunity to monetize it. Into aluminum. It's actually bauxite mines in West Africa, one of the largest bauxite mines in West Africa. With a $1 billion company, they do 1.5 million metric tons already a year. We're bringing them to 5 million metric tons a year. We get a royalty on everything above the 1.5. Into the scanning technology that really runs everything from A to Z through our platform. So that's a very, very long distance 500-foot view of how DebtBox basically came about. What we're kind of focusing on is the commodity sector and a physical, tangible asset that creates cash flow that accentuates the tokenomics that we're already dealing with. So
Jason, would you, sorry, not to interrupt you, but, you know, we always have our different views of it, you know, the way, we saw getting involved with DebtBox. Would you just give your view, from your perspective of getting involved with IX?
Yeah, so
because he's not an MLM enthusiast, everybody.
I have a problem with, I have had a problem with the MLM industry for a few reasons. Number one is my brother has actually been in the space, is actually on the call as well. He made 6 figures in Amway. He did very well as a young kid, but understand most of the times when you're dealing with finance, I can look at a business model, dissect it, and I'm looking at a good majority of the comp plans that are out there are designed physically to pay the top 1 to 2% of the company a lot of money, the top 10% of the company some money, which basically means you physically have, right around 87% if you're lucky of people that make nothing. Everybody makes it so easy. It's like, just go find 3, go duplicate, go find 3, duplicate. Well, it's really not that easy. And if it was, everybody make money. And it kind of just got to a point where I've been in Utah now for 18 years. And, I see everything underneath the sun being in the valley. And it never really worked out for anybody that I've ever known in my early phases of life or end phase of my life. The only people that ever make money are typically the people that own the companies. I did actually venture out and backed my brother in starting an MLM company, and had a little venture that direction. Didn't go so well for me either in that venture. So I actually I put a black ball in the whole industry. We were going to launch DebtBox, and actually we have been very successful launching DebtBox before IX came along in the financial services industry. It's more my background. RIAs look at this as a much cleaner way to diversify capital for their investors and for their clients. Buying software licenses that mine different tokens that are supported by commodities is very intriguing to the financial world. And so we've done very well. We've had great successes. We've sold a little over 340,000 licenses in that worldwide. We're in 110 countries. A lot of that growth actually has been because of IX, but before IX came along, we were doing a month what IX did last year. Our average month was between 20 and $25 million a month. IX came to me and kind of hit me when I was kind of big in the tooth, I guess. And I was going to basically tell them no. We were being courted by 4 other companies at that point in time. Joe invited me to sit down with him and his wife and tell me how he was different. I was expecting
Jason, I have to pause you one more time just to ask a question. So people are asking if we can record this. Is this something we want recorded or not?
I don't typically record it. It's okay. We're halfway through. If you want to go ahead and record it, that's fine. Okay. I actually kind of thought it was being recorded anyway. I saw a little
recording
red light.
In progress.
So when I met Joe, he was trying to convince me he was different. He was going to do things differently, and he was actually the only CEO that I sat with in a 2-month period of being courted by this industry that physically said that he has not pulled a single check out of the company, and he was bankrolling this thing off of 2 credit cards to start it to begin with. And it was hard to believe. I kind of looked back and what he really wanted to do, and his mission was basically to change people's lives around the world. And I looked at some of his top distributors at that point in time. He was actually very transparent with me and showed me what individuals were making in his company. And I was shocked that individuals were making so much money, and he was not pulling out large amounts of capital at all, living expenses. And I said, maybe this guy is actually somebody I'd be willing to at least entertain getting in business with. And he came over to my brother's house, and we sat down and kind of looked at his business model, what market he wanted to hit and attract to. And he invited me to South Africa. I was already in Africa a lot during my life, so South Africa is no big deal. Jake and I went down there for an IX event, and I physically got on the plane and I told my brother, I'm doing this because I committed to go. I'm going to tell him no. I think the RA offices and the financial services sector is just the way we need to keep this and just run it clean. Mainly because I don't want to have a bad taste of anybody's mouth getting into the, as came up earlier, the scams, the Ponzi's, the pyramids. Anytime you get into this sector, you get a lot of scrutiny from all types of individuals. When you stay in the financial services business, it makes it very simple and easy. It already has a credibility sense to it. I got to South Africa, and about 24 hours later, I looked at my brother. I said, I don't know. We got on stage, and on the plane ride home, my brother looked at me and he said, Jason, what do you think? And I said, I'm going to eat my own words. I think we're going to move forward with Joe. And he was shocked, and we got back, and the rest is kind of history. But in general, it's been a great partnership. He's a very unique individual that I can honestly say he's got honor in him. And so far, if he makes a commitment, he lives up to it. That doesn't mean just for me. That means for his distributor base. He has errors. He has mistakes, and he's willing to basically come into and get in front of everybody and say, I messed up, or I thought I was ready. I thought our systems would work. And he's willing to take the little thump on the chin, but more importantly, he's willing to put his money where his mouth is and physically come back and say, I need to fix this. I need to fix this. And he always has. And so it's been a good partnership. Thanks for heading me down that direction, Brian. And I think everybody needs to kind of understand this was definitely a plan B from our original pivot. We do still sell licenses in large numbers directly out to our consumer banks, our investment banks, our financial partnerships and private sector money. And IX basically does something different. They buy bulk licenses up front in the early phases. They buy them large enough that they get a decent price on them. They wait for my prices to go up on my side, and then they basically market them out at a huge discount. For example, right now on the IX side, I believe you can still buy natural gas. He's got some inventory left for $600 or $6,500. I can't tell you. Brian can probably tell you where he's at, but somewhere in that ballpark. I'm selling those licenses right now for $71,000. How can he do that? He bought the licenses up front at a wholesale price. It's his inventory. He has it. He owns it. So he's got the ability to basically keep those prices low for his base for as long as possible until his supply runs out, and then he's got to go to a different project. But in general, it's been a good fit, and we work very well together. In fact, he was here 6 hours yesterday. So we continually try to update our systems and make things easier for his ecosystem as well. Do we have questions coming in?
Kevin, what direction do we want to take this?
Yeah, definitely. Some people are messaging me. I don't know if that's privately just to keep it clean. Feel free to ask them in the group, so I always won't repeat them. And if you're too shy to ask your questions in person, those are probably a bigger problem.
Look, I've got thick skin. I've pretty much been around the world, so understand if you have questions, I'm more than happy to answer it.
Well, one thing while I'm reading some of these and filtering through, Jason, one thing I loved. By the way, you did a call for me about 3 weeks ago when I just got started, and I want you to know that's turned into, we'll be coming up on $1 million worth of sales here soon. And at that time, I was just a small guy, got a couple notes for myself and told 3 people. I trusted it because I gave my money, but you just kind of bridge that last mile, which is what I want to hope to do for all the people that are on here today, so they can get that level of complete fulfillment too. I asked you the question, and you just mentioned it. People are buying them from you for $70,000. I'm not scared of big ticket. I know that people spend that kind of money. I see the value there. But then you shared the real estate example, and I think that really will help a lot of people put it in the proper context. So while I filter through these, you can do a little 2 minutes on your real estate. That would be great.
Sure. So a lot of individuals are always asking me, and how do you sell the big ticket items? How do you kind of run through it? You got to understand that our project basically has 2 different revenue sources. Number one is the license itself. After we're sold out, it turns to an NFT. I call that the house, the real estate. The daily rewards are your rents. It's what you're basically getting on a daily basis. So if you look at a a standard investor currently right now, and the mortgage rates are going higher, but let's just say even in the prime par of real estate fixing and flipping, you were able to finance, let's say, for 4%. Okay. You're going to buy a $500,000 house. You're going to put $100,000 of raw cash into it. That $100,000 of raw cash is now tied up at virtually no income other than your rents. You have to service the first mortgage. That's going to be about $2,300. Let's say you get $2,500 in rent coming in for that property. You have $200 cash flow a month. That $200 cash flow a month is basically to service your $100,000 you put into the property. Except you may have garbage disposals. You may have a leaky roof. You may have a garage door opener. You may have a garage door itself. You may have other maintenance items that have to go into the property. That eats into your profit running through. What you're really doing is you're putting $100,000 down for a increase in the underlying asset over a 2, 3, 4 year period of time. And you're hoping that property goes from 500,000 to 600 to 700 to get a much better return. In that model, understand we have the exact same thing. You could have bought the licenses originally for natural gas. I believe they went out for $3,000 originally. Those $3,000 licenses right now are worth 71 grand in under 10 months. That happens because the price of the license goes up. For every 100 we sell, it goes up by $100. So as we sell more and more volume and push it through after pre-sale launches, every license goes up in price. Joe and the IX group locks those prices in at pre-launch. At pre-launch, all the licenses we sell stay at the initial starting price. That happens for about a 2 to 3 week period of time before the licenses basically go public. Anybody involved in the ecosystem has the ability to buy licenses first. So in a natural gas item, had you physically came in and spent the $100,000 and instead of putting it into a house that would have basically been sitting there for 2 or 3 years, a natural gas license today makes about $7 a day. Let's just say hypothetically you only bought 10 of them. That's giving you $70 a day coming through. Would you rather have $200 a month for putting your $100,000 in a $500,000 house and being on the hook for $400,000 mortgage? Or would you rather make $70 a day, which is really only at that point in time $30,000 out of your pocket, and you have that now perpetually for the next decade? It's just a mathematical equation of what the licenses are valued at the time versus going. Even today, at $6,000 for IX's price or $6,500, whatever IX has them for right now, it's a bargain. Currently, right now, there's licenses that are a little bit more in their infancy stages. I think they're about $1,500 to $1,700. They're peaking up right now in price. We always have ups and downs in crypto, guys. Sometimes they kind of go up. People take their money off the table and they go back down. Natural gas is pretty solid right now at these levels, and I think we only have upward gains from here. Aluminum and Explorer only 3 months old, roughly, so you're going to see a little more volatility in the earlier phases of them. But it goes back to what Kevin was kind of talking about, is you're going to be tying up, no matter what kind of asset you buy, you're going to be tying up X amount of capital, and it's how to maximize your upside and minimize your actual hours you have to put into that asset to make it true passive upside potential for yourself. So, all right, Kevin.
Nice.
Shoot them over.
Yeah, very good. So this one's a little bit more intricate, bunch of parts to it. It's just talking about a little bit of the tokenomics. I don't know if you have a spiel on that, but I'll just give you the gist and you can hit some of the pieces. That are the licenses on the blockchain written on a smart contract? Can a license be stopped from DebtBox? Does DebtBox have the possibility to modify the smart contract? And the duration of the 4,000 cycles of licenses, can it be seen on the blockchain?
Wow, that's a lot. Okay, so so the 4,000. Let's start with actually in the reverse. Yes, everything basically is written in smart contract. We're going to start about the 4,000 because this is actually a misnomer that physically comes up quite a bit. Everybody asks me, so these things only last for 4,000 days and then they're done. It's actually not true. The EGI pool gets divided by 4,000 every single day. So tomorrow it gets divided by 4,000 again. Next week it'll be 4,000 again. The week after that it'll be 4,000 again. So it's not a 4,000 dilution rate. It's a 4,000 divided by what's currently in the EGI pool. The EGI pool is the overall token that is put in. Only one way creates token into the EGI pool, and that's the sell of the licenses when they first come out. It's about a $2,000 evaluation goes into every single license into the EGI pool. When it's earlier in its infancies, So let's just say we started the token at 4 zeros and a 1. It obviously puts a lot more token in the EGI pool than when it's a penny. And so as the licenses sell out, it will cap the amount of our max supply into the ecosystem for token. Then every one of our projects has a halving in a year period. So for instance, Black Gold right now has its annual burn of 50% of the EGI pool coming up in January. That basically means that every day after January 1st, it's going to mine basically half the amount of token that it mined last year. And what this really is doing is it's shrinking the supply in the open market. And so when everybody looks at a normal project that has, let's say, 1 trillion token out there, and everybody's like, why the heck is the supply so large? You're not wrong. There actually is 1 trillion token sitting in the EGI pool. That trillion token will never see the light of day. What's happening is it was 2 trillion last year before it hit January, got cut in half. This year alone, I think we may have produced 50 billion more tokens for the whole year with license sales because the price of the token's gone up so much. So it produces less token every time the license sells. And so this year, when we basically cut in half again, we went from 2 trillion to 1 trillion. Now we'll be 0.5 trillion after January. And only about 8% of that, even in infancy, has actually ever been put out to the open market into circulation. I believe our last license sales for Black Gold will be sold out in the next 3 weeks. We have a contract to purchase them. So as long as funding goes through, we'll actually be sold out of Black Gold completely. All of those will be turned to NFTs, and they will be transferable and sellable on the open market. It's actually a huge step forward. It's another road to our progress in BLOX. We're very excited for that transitional period. And so it's just kind of a time period. I don't like to have competition when I sell stuff, so I just lock everybody out.
Got frozen there for a second. I think he's still frozen. While he's doing that, a little housekeeping. Looks like all the questions are locked to me or locked to maybe the host. So that's fine, guys. Feel free to just continue to send them in, and we'll burn through them here. Going really good. Looks like Jason is still frozen. Hugh Paul, did you want to share anything? Because I know this call was originally me and you had some very special guests. Hopefully they made it on. Don't know if you wanted to ask out loud or if you just wanted to text me to ask, but feel free to also jump in here. Somebody's done.
Hey, Kevin, how are you?
There you go. Thanks for your leadership, my friend.
Yeah, I had a guest, Mr. G, on the call who requested this event, and he had some very good questions. But I suppose we need to wait to Jason comes back on the call. So it's really interesting. We want to kind of find out that these tokens are they're bought from the market, obviously, and the proceeds are coming from the sale of the oil or the sale of the gold or the sale of the various commodities. You back? So I just want to know.
Go ahead.
Everything written as well.
Go ahead.
Can't hear Jason. Yeah, I'm okay. I can't hear Jason. I'm just waiting for Jason to come on. So the question will be, saying yes.
His face is frozen. Maybe you should, Jason, if you could hear, maybe you want to go out and come back in, or I know his brother Jake might be on here. If he wants to run with the ball for a little bit while he gets situated, we could also do that. Brian,
Jason,
you know, if
me and said that he's jumping back in.
okay, cool.
Good.
So yeah, thanks everyone for being on. In the meantime, we'll just thanks for you guys. Obviously, this expanded. We're networkers, so that's good. I see some familiar faces, some quality people. So that is totally awesome. Very excited about this opportunity. And again, yeah, keep the questions coming in here. Maybe we can open it up for a few seconds at the end. But if you want to guarantee to get your stuff to be answered, I would write it right now to us so we can get it asked while we still have time on the clock. Jason's back, so we'll let him jump in as soon as he's ready. He'll finish up that series of questioning if he wants, or we'll flip over to my good friend and business partner, Mr. Hugh Paul. Okay, Jay, you're live and direct. I see you got the motion camera. Sorry about that.
All right, we'll try that again. No idea what happened, but I was talking and I don't think anybody was hearing me. So I paused somewhere in that description of tokenomics. So yeah, so I was reading a side question. It was, how do you know what the NFTs are revalued at when they basically go up for sale? So on that question, we basically look at everything basically as a supply and demand. We're selling them right now, black gold, for instance, at $50,600. We're able to sell them for that. So I would assume everybody would be able to sell them for that over the course of time. A caveat to that is if a ton of them hit the market at the same time, people trying to cash out. Obviously, if the supply is more than the demand at that particular time, you could see a price fluctuation down. I think these things, because they create a pretty consistent cash flow revenue every single day with rewards, I'm going to guess a lot of people are not going to sell these things because there's a limited quantity and there's no more. So getting your hands on them, I think, is going to be a harder thing than finding someone that's willing to sell them. Any questions? I don't see any other questions.
Jason, it's Hugh Paul from Ireland. In the network world, we're in danger of, I suppose, securities and trying to, we don't want to get involved in that world, and we want to use the right language. And I'm sure Joe will make the right demands on us to keep the language right. And I would request that if it was possible that you could create some kind of short 7-minute video or 4-minute video that would explain everything, because the information taken from this call and transpired to another call and another call, the tokens just change. He burnt 9 million. No, he burnt 19 million. No, he burnt. So we have to be very careful, and we want to keep the language correct, and we want to keep the numbers right. And I think from your point of view, supplying the product, if there was any opportunity, either you or even if it was an explainer video that explained the tokenomics, then we don't have to do it. Our job should be easier. I can save you money in your phone service. Every knows it's the business is sold. Or I've got an app, and this app actually makes me money 24 hours a day. It makes me tokens 24 hours a day. Now, how it works, I haven't a clue. Go watch this video. So I'd love something like that would tell the story correctly every single time, because otherwise the next group of people, we have the same questions again and again and again, and we don't do the business for answering questions. So that would be a request, if that was possible, between the two of you, IX and yourselves, to create some kind of little explainer video. Maybe you have one. However, the questions we're kind of getting is, we see a post in the back office that 6 million tokens were burnt, 9 million tokens were burnt. Can you explain where they're burnt, or how do you buy them from the market? So what we're trying to tell people is between 3.5% all the way up to possibly 20% on a project, you're getting a royalty from the sale of oil or gas. You take that money, or a portion of that money, and you go to the market and you buy out tokens from the bottom of the market, and you send them to the burn wallet. So that's all we're saying. But can you explain the tokenomics? Or, I don't see $9 million in the coin market cap turnover, for instance. I see between $2 and $3 million daily. Where's this 9 million spent, or how can we see that, or how could you explain that, please?
Great question. So let me start with the first one. You're actually spot on as far as needing more marketing material that is done correctly in, it will say, regulated sectors all over the world. And the Biz Pro app is actually coming into IX very shortly. It has all of that at your fingertips. You can actually send this out to friends over text message. So if anybody has any questions, you can actually send them a quick little link that go right to the explainer video, right to how to take money from your wallet, how to put money in, how to BioLize it. All of those explainer videos are at your fingertips, and you will actually get a text message back when that individual has finished watching. It is in about 20 people's hands right now on the IX network. It's actually a product that we have developed and designed, and we're actually giving over to IX to help with the messaging more than anything else. And so I believe all of that should be taken care of within the next few weeks for you on that front. Let me talk more about, this is actually something that we've been getting a lot in Discord and Telegram. how does the actual burn functionally work? So I need to take a project so you can actually understand, because every project has different burn, because every project has different revenues coming in from it. So I'm going to take natural gas because it's one of the largest projects that IX has pushed forward as of right now. Okay. And it's the one that's the longest in. So natural gas actually has a lot of revenue streams above and beyond just production. One of those revenue streams is actually giving the technology out to other players in the industry. And that technology actually is worth a $250,000 on a small project, up to $8 million on a large one. Okay. And we are allowing them to use the technology for their own infrastructure and running through. If we could not get a royalty from these individuals, we actually still get revenue because of the technology we're basically giving them forward and letting them process into. Our biggest royalties are obviously production. Our largest revenues take a lot more time to get to because it's not just finding it. It's finding it, drilling it, casing it, infrastructure, EPA, natural and gas and governmental agencies have to come and approve it. Then you have to truck it or pipe it. And so understand, everybody's like, oh, you found it. Yeah, we found it. It's a lot more in depth than finding it. It's a whole different structure. So what we do is we actually have different revenue streams for each one of our projects that give small amounts of revenue in, even during the process of the infancy phases. So how does the token come in? How much of it do we get in revenue, and how much actually goes to buy token? How much we get in varies. That comes in every single month, and it does vary because it depends on where we are on those scan payments, how big of scans we have coming in. Is that done over a 2-month period, 5-month period, 10-month period, or whatever? Okay, so that varies. 100% of what we get in from revenues goes into purchase token. We only buy it over pancake swap. There's a very technical reason why we are doing it. We're trying to be more transparent to the public. So by locating, which we don't actually advertise it for other reasons, but if you understand crypto, you can find the buy and burn wallet. It's probably one of the largest purchasers right now in the ecosystem. You can track it. That wallet will never sell token. It only buys, and it buys a lot. We do it because I don't want to hide through an exchange or a third party how much is actually being acquired. So everything is actually going through that burn wallet. You can track every single project we do. It's all through the same wallet. It's one burn wallet for the ecosystem. It's divided out, and then it's sent all to a it's all being purchased through the trust wallet, and then it's basically being burnt out through the burn mechanisms. So the track of capital is, it comes in USDT, it buys debt token. That debt token then goes out to the individual projects based off of what came in for that project. 100% of those tokens then are sent to the payments wallet, which is also a burn wallet. It's a holding wallet. And that has to then be sent to the EGI pool. And you'll see a transaction hash going into the EGI pool and immediately a burn directly out to the contract. We can only burn in our contracts from the EGI wallet. But what you'll see is a deposit in and a burn for equal amount. So if we do 8 billion in, we burn 8 billion the next transaction out, and we supply both of those hashes to the public during our burn notices. So if you look at our burn notice we just did on the 19th, for instance, why does the value of it really not matter? The value is based off of what the price is today. What really makes a bigger benefit to know is how many token that was. Was it 8 billion? Was it 2 billion? Was it 1.5 billion? Was it 3 billion this month? And if you look at the months kind of heading in, burns happen every month between the 19th and the 20th. We try to publicly announce those every single month in that window. Occasionally it happens on the 20th because it's a Sunday. I'm just being honest. But we do try to get, even if it's a Saturday, we'll actually announce it on the 19th. We want to give as much transparency to the public. What I won't do, and you can obviously understand why, is we will not publish what we're going to burn in the next 30 days. It actually will hinder the amount of token we can actually buy at the lower prices. So there's one executive overriding principle. We only buy, but we can buy whenever we feel the value is correct to buy. So I'm not dumping 8 million in one shot in a transaction. That's foolish. What we are trying, because that'll spike it up and everybody sells into it and takes it in. So we may have only burnt maybe 800 million token instead of 1.5 billion token. The long-term holding value of our tokens is huge. And the reason for it is we are taking supply out in every single move. When you send it to another wallet, 10%. When you pull over the piggy bank, 10%. When you sell over Pancake Swap, 10%. But better than all of that, you have millions of dollars going in to buy token out of the market. It's great for people that need money on Friday. Please go get capital. If you need to make a payment on your credit card or your food anymore, quite honestly, it doesn't matter. Go get liquidity if you need it. But the big benefit for the long-term holders is burning the maximum amount of token with those monthly burns as possible. We're very happy to say that burn is never consistent, meaning the price of the tokens go up and down. So we've been very fortunate in a lot of ways that Black Gold's actually had a little bit of a dip because we've been able to burn a ton of token. It doesn't mean anything today. People are upset about it today. For me as a long-term holder, there's no better thing that could possibly have happened because we are burning probably 10 times the amount of token out of the market that we have planned on doing right now at the early phases before the large production numbers even come in off the wells. We're literally burning about 10x what we were planning on. And so it's a huge benefit for anybody that's basically long-term holding that token. So that's basically natural gas, and that's basically oils runs the exact same way. Grow's actually a little different because it's a half-life token. There is a finite supply. It's a billion token that'll ever be out there. There are no more tokens coming through. And instead of burning, that particular token goes into a locked wallet. So it's theoretically burnt because it's basically going into a vault, but it will come back to life at some point in time in the future. So it does take it out of the circulating supply, but it doesn't come out of existence. Debt token and grow are those exact same ways. We don't ever burn debt. We don't ever burn grow, but the purchase and store function still works. It still goes into the vault wallet. It still sits there. It still is bought over Pancake Swap. It is still taken out of the ecosystem and run. So there's really kind of two mechanisms that are kind of happening depending on if it is a burn token nomics or if it's a vault tokenomics. Did that answer? I think that answered everything you asked.
Yeah, it did. It's just other than pinpointing where, let's say, 1.2 billion black gold tokens were burnt. That's not going to show me that in one transaction. Is that what you're saying? I'm not going to see that burn in one big transaction.
Oh, yes, you will. Absolutely. We post those transactions. So it'll always happen on either the day before we announce it or the day we announce it. So like, I think this month we actually burnt it on the 18th and we announced it on the 19th. Last month it burnt and set it on the same day.
What if a skeptic said, well, maybe the owners or the debt council have these tokens and yes, they burn them so we can see the burn, but it's not being taken from the exchanges. Is that does the burn must come from the exchanges or is it coming from additional supply or is it all coming from from Pancake Swap now that you've said it?
Honestly, that's actually a great question as well. So everything we burn from the revenues is coming from Pancake Swap. So you can see it. So if you know anything about crypto, you can actually track the wallets. So if you actually go and look at the burn hash we announce, you then can actually see what wallet deposited it. Then you can go back and then you can see thousands of transactions that basically went through and you'll see all buys. You can actually tally that off. You can actually print that off in a CSV file and do a tally and you can actually say, calculate up and you'll see what was actually spent. So we do that because I actually want people, if you want to dig into it, I actually want you to be able to do it. I'm not trying to hide anything. In August, a very special thing happened because the Debt Council actually voted to match the burn. So they're not wrong. Debt Council actually did burn Treasury. We have Treasury notes up, and we decided that because everything was going well and we didn't need the liquidity currently right now for the exchanges or anything else, we actually decided to burn a matching amount. So we burnt, I think, 2 billion token out of Treasury and 2 billion was purchased over Pancake Swap. But we still purchased over Pancake Swap. We just decided to match it. And so there was actually technically 2 burns. We still separated them out because I wanted the transparency of that, if that makes sense. So I wanted people to actually go back and track it. So if anybody wants to, they can.
Is there an auditor that would maybe verify that the blockchain is true and it's verified, it can't be manipulated, and maybe some certification that, hey, these guys are so good. This is a locked up contract. This is class. You know,
let me tell you how transparent it is. The wallet just popped up on messaging chat right here to my right. So someone actually already found it. It's there. And the best part of blockchain is you don't need a third party. Anybody can go look at it. It's physically there for anybody to see. Blockchain doesn't lie, and that's the beautiful thing about a blockchain versus, let's say, a private company. Private companies try to hide everything. They try to say, okay, well, I can cook the books, I guess the best way to say it. You really can't do that in blockchain. You either bought it or you didn't, and blockchain is going to show it. So, you know, it's there for everyone to see. It's physically transparent for everybody. And it took. I don't know who this is. This someone just messaged this over. Excellent, Nicolo. But physically, it probably took him less than 5 minutes to find that wallet. You can find every transaction that ever goes into it.
Okay. Is there any body or governing body that could actually give a certification that it's a true blockchain, or verify that it's tight and uneditable, or that the smart contract can't be edited, and give people confidence, like a KPMG stamp, or some of the big four accountancy firms would stamp, hey, these guys' books are right, this blockchain is true, verified? And, you know, is there anything like that we could do, or you could consider doing? Or
it's not something that's typically done. We do have a code audit that we do actually have on every one of our tokens. We're about ready to publish. Basically says it's true blockchain and the smart contract is locked. And that's coming out. We'll be posting those probably by the first week of next month. We had to go through that process. We're waiting for the underwriter to sign off on everything, but we basically have gone through. If I'm lucky, I'll have it back by Friday. I kind of said by first week of next month, because I think we'll probably post everything up by Wednesday of next week on those. But that's the code audits for all of our projects.
yeah, anybody else got a question there, or anything else coming up there, Kevin, that you want to read?
Awesome. Yeah, no, those are some good ones. I guess he was maybe trying to ask about an audit. I know there's a big company called Certic that does for the smart contract at the very least. Are you familiar with anything like that, Jay?
That's actually what we're announcing next week. So all of our code audits are coming out, and yes, that is the company we use, and yes, it'll be out next. I'm hoping by Wednesday.
All right. There goes 9 questions off my board.
We're working on it.
Yeah, no, but that's really good though. So yeah, for sure. Let me see. So I guess that would also fall into, can it be modified by you guys? I guess it could be, but then it'd be shown that you did something anyways, right? So
yeah, so we have 2 different smart contracts that are available on the Binance network. You can basically do what's called an editable, or you can basically just lock a smart contract. We are actually in a locked currently right now for everything. So how you would see it is I would physically have to change it, and then you would have to hard fork into version 2. So it would not only be very noticeable, but it would be a pain in my rear. but yes, because it'd be a whole other contract ID, the token number would change. Like it is going to be a major process. We do have some workings of changing the licenses to an NFT. We actually locked the contract down so well in black gold, for instance. We are currently right now working with our programmers to get that to physically work and function on the NFT network as well. We may find our first hard fork, but we have been working on that now for about 3 weeks heading in. But I'll be as transparent as possible. We fixed it on every transaction after that, but black gold being one of our first ones, we're doing a hard fork over to NFTs. We locked that contract down so tight, even getting it to an NFT it's problematic, and we're working on it. And Certic actually found that out for us when we did the audit. So kind of a fun little toy there. But having said that, yeah, it's impossible for us to change anything on our side. It's a locked contract. Well, it's impossible unless it's very noticeable.
Yeah.
With regards, let's call it brand ambassadors marketing this type of product, is there anything we need to be mindful in terms of securities, or what? Yeah. Have you taken any legal opinion on what we're doing here, that we keep this tight? Either we operate outside the US or we're in the US, or is there anything there you'd like to share with the group?
Sure. So the biggest things in our sector is ICOs. So you need to understand how we basically have developed our ecosystem, why we developed it this way, and the importance of basically staying in our lane. So ICOs are initial coin offerings. They are securities. Anytime you basically place out a token into the ecosystem that is then purchased either in bulk or in packages, you're selling an asset. We don't do any of that. We use third-party exchanges to circulate all tokens. All of them originate from miners, just like Bitcoin does. It does not have an initial supply that we went out to the marketplace and that gives two things. Number one is a fair launch. Our dev team has the ability to buy licenses. There is no token. It's a misnomer we see all the time, and we kind of laugh about it with Discord and some of the other people. Oh, this must be a dev wallet or something like this. There are no dev wallets. Everybody that's in our ecosystem has to buy licenses, and everything is mined out. Now, do our devs get to buy licenses? Sure. Do you get to buy licenses? Sure. Do I get to buy licenses? I unfortunately have to buy licenses just like everyone else. But we did it on purpose, because if everybody basically had free token, it actually will eventually hurt the project down the road, because if you don't have skin in the game or you didn't have your time preference to stay in, they're called whales. And it has put a lot of negative feeling and a lot of negative press in the crypto market. So what we have done is we basically have made sure we do never do an ICO. Everything basically has to be mined out into the world and the ecosystem, and we never sell token except for over third-party exchanges, period. So BLOX will never do that. IX is contractually never going to do that. We do free airdrops from time to time to advertise our projects. Those are not purchased. Those are physical airdrops, and a lot of those are done physically by a third-party exchange. So what will happen is when we released on Bitmart, for instance, they actually went ahead and did an airdrop to their community. They actually did not, quote, unquote, buy them. It was part of our listing fee. We gifted them X amount of token to get listed, and then they turned around and gifted it to their ecosystem running out. We do those on a very rare case, and usually it's with a huge upside. So getting on Bitmart was big. Binance has a much bigger airdrop for theirs that we're coming down on. And we actually have a huge exchange that we will be announcing here in the next 2 weeks that will be on the first week of December. We've just finally hit the top 5 exchanges in the world for debt. So we are very, very positive. We are on our track to Binance by first quarter of next year.
Fabulous news, because that new audience will drive particularly the debt token northwards, won't it? Or it should, not to.
With debt, all tokens rise. So the nice thing is our whole ecosystem is built off of our ecosystem currency. And so when debt goes up, it pulls everything else up with it. Another question that actually gets into another question is, are we going to list the other tokens on the exchanges? Yes, actually we are. We are just basically running the gauntlet right now with debt first. And then as we get to NFTs, we will then turn around and we will be doing the next batch. So as Black Gold gets to NFT, as Nat Gas gets to NFT, as Grow gets to NFT, as soon as they turn to NFT, we'll be doing the run on exchanges for all of them. It's heavily expensive to do exchanges. Debt, by the time we're all said and done, will probably be about $3.5 million to get on these exchanges. It's a lot of money wasted, which don't really need right now to go out. But as we start converting to NFTs, I want to have the most amount of liquidity available to all of our consumers, so we need to do it. So it's something we will do as the projects sell out.
When you're starting off a project, Black Gold, NATG, any other project, is the tokenomics pre-done? In other words, you've already calculated we've X amount of barrels of oil, so this is the amount of nodes, this is the amount of tokens. Because some of the questions would be, well, what happens if they run out of gas, or what happens if they run out of gold on the mines? So now you can't buy that 3.5 to 20% royalty, or sorry, you can't attain that royalty to buy from the exchange.
Great question. So most of the projects we're in are actually larger than the 10-year period of time anyway. So for instance, the Nat Gas finds that we're currently right now exploring, they're 100-year wells. The Black Gold projects in Nebraska are 20 to 25-year wells. And that, what makes the difference between 20 and 25? How many barrels a day I pull out is what really happens. So we cap it with 5 wells. Do we go all the way to 10 to try to get out quicker? But the nice thing about our projects are we basically did it with what we already had contracted. So what that basically means is we did all the tokenomics based off of Nevada and Nebraska. We now have 10 other projects currently right now in underwriting. None of the tokens were done off of that. What does that mean to the end consumer? What it means is I'm adding more and more to it, and I'm not adding any more token. So, because I can't add token, we locked everything down. So there are no more tokens being burned. So the supply is finite, but the revenues are unlimited. Meaning the more and more projects we continue to open up, the more and more buying power that comes in, the more and more buying power comes in, the more upside the token goes. And this is benefiting to everybody. Why would I be willing to give these contracts out to the ecosystem? Trust me, I'm not a charity. Yes, I give a lot of money away for these burns. I'm benefiting just like everybody else is. And the amount of money that we're able to bring in and help out the whole ecosystem is well worth what we're burning out. So I think for the most part, that question, if you kind of understood, I'm sorry, I'm reading some questions on the sidelines. That question for the most part should be pretty quick to understand and kind of let through. Most people are wondering, is the revenues going to end next year? No. All these projects are, the gold mines are 20, 30 year mines. They've already been operating for 15. Most of these mines were stuff that we picked up back in 2008, 9, and 10. So understand these things are still going. They've got plenty of resources there, and we're always able to expand to more projects as stuff becomes, let's just say, more profitable to get from another project where you're not, it's viability factor. It's not the fact that gold's there or the oil's there or the natural gas there. Sometimes it's just cheaper to go to a different area, and we would do that.
It's a personal question of mine, Jason. What are the, maybe if you could touch a little bit on the technology before we get to, I want you to abruptly have to leave here. I know we're getting close to an hour as it is. Talk a little bit about the satellite. I like to dumb things down for people. And I say it's basically doing an ultrasound or a MRI of the Earth and it's seeing things, you know what I mean? Just to paint a quick picture, what's your elevator pitch on what you guys have got going on? And if you could speak a little bit to the technology of Explore. And then
sure.
go ahead.
Let me go to that, but I actually got a side question, and I actually want to answer this because it's actually pretty important. What is the role of the Debt Council? How can we join the Debt Council? And what is the control that the council can basically do to everything? Okay, so we can't modify the contracts. That's not something that we can do without a major facelift. What would basically happen is if we could not continue down the road path, in that we would have to basically make a major vote. We've actually integrated, the whole goal of this is the Debt Council is here for a period of time to make sure that there is an adult in the room that can get these projects launched, get them situated, and get them up. We just actually integrated a new mechanism that's going on to everyone's dashboard. It's our ecosystem vote. I believe it came out in the last newsletter, and it's been announced on Discord now for the last few weeks. Those votes actually will start happening more and more as we start making changes and growing our ecosystem and continue adding more assets. I don't think many people are going to vote to not put another project on or not put another well on, but it's going to be a vote that's going out to the community, along with a lot of other things that we would really like our ecosystem to give us counsel on. The goal is the Debt Council over time will have less and less power, and it goes back out to the note holders. And that's kind of the benefit of everything. I think that basically just answers the question on the sidelines. Now let's talk about the technology. SCAN is our Explorer token, is something that is a proprietary technology. And I can say that, and everybody uses those words very loosely, okay? This is basically a Google satellite. We are third-party renting a satellite currently right now. We've been doing it for about 6 years total. We have a different way of reading the information we're getting back. You can actually see different ways to read even Google Maps. You can basically look at it from a satellite version. You can look at it from a road map vision. You can actually look at it from a drawing purpose to see the intersections and that currently on it. So it's just how you basically read the information. We believe we read it better than everybody else, and we actually turn it into a wavelength. Think of it as a MRI. And this is probably the easiest way to describe it. Is we basically are looking through the Earth for different elements of the periodic table, and we can pretty much locate almost anything on the periodic table. And so what we're basically looking for is large veins, easier access to different commodities. We can actually go for, here's how valuable it is. We can actually go into an auction for a land use permit, and we pretty much know what's there before we bid on the parcel. Right now, that's kind of like lifting up the skirt and drilling before you actually get access to the property. It makes it very, very easy for us to go to those auctions, very confidently bid on the parcels that we want and get to work immediately. Instead of trying to get a parcel and then using old technology like the vibration. There's quite honestly about 20 different technologies that we still do use just to verify our stuff and to pinpoint the domes. But we need to basically make sure there's oil there, or we need to make sure there's natural gas there. You can't actually do that until you physically have the property, until you have scan and explore. So we can basically go into these auctions and pay more for the parcels for us to get, only bid on the ones that have resources for us to go grab and kind of go. And that's purely based off of a vibrating table through the periodic table. We're using basically MRI technology just from a satellite from space.
Nice. Can you quickly share maybe 3 of your biggest discoveries or wow factors, something that's happened through your scans?
Well, I'm going to tell you the success rate of our scans. So we actually started off in Ghana about 3 years ago, launching our gold technology. It was actually something that happened at a very pivotal time of the country because they just got through kicking out the foreign interests, including us, quite honestly. The main reason for it was pollution. A lot of mercury is still being used for extraction of gold. It's a very good chemical to get gold out of. Unfortunately, it's heavily toxic. And so it was killing off a large population base, and no one was really talking about it. But several countries were going in and basically exploiting the country's resources. So for about 1.5 years, they kicked everyone out. Our technology is actually something we went to the government since we had been there for so long. And we actually were showing them how we could basically get to everybody the resources they really wanted to get to without using the heavy chemicals and getting to a point where we can actually locate the low-hanging fruit, the large veins, and not have to clear cut or scrape through 25 square kilometers of property and take down 40, 50,000 cocoa trees, 40, 50,000 other vegetational resources. A lot of it's farmland. And so the government actually gave us 50 square acres, and we pinpointed 19 targets on site within a foot. So that gave us a lot of clout with the government to a point where they are actually integrating our technology with all small scale mining starting in January. So if you go into that country and you actually get a small mining license and a small claim, you will get our satellite technology with it. You also get a royalty that has to be paid to the government, then the government actually pays us for it. So I can tell you that the technology is there and it's real. We've actually been approached now by 3 other countries to bring in the technology to them. And so Ghana is just someplace we've just been for over a decade. We just have a lot of relationships, and their IX community has something available to them that I have never opened up to the public. And I'm just being candidly honest with you. We have been over there. I have raised hundreds of millions of dollars for West African projects. And I'm going to tell you right now, I've never actually allowed anybody to go over and walk through the fruits of our labors over there. Most people actually haven't asked. IX is going to have the ability to bring over individuals and actually walk our vegetation for our grow. They're going to walk the Ghanaian Bauxite Corporation's mine. That's the one that we have contracted with over there. They are the largest bauxite producer in Ghana. We will be then walking over and walking through the gold mines. We will be walking through the silver mines. We then will be going over and actually talking about our one and only, this is actually a big thing. We landed it about a month ago. We currently have the only petro license on shore in Ghana's history, meaning we are the only ones that can drill for oil, natural gas, or any fossil fuels on soil. This is actually something we'll be announcing here in the next 2 weeks anyway, but you guys get a little preview to it. All 5 big players are offshore right now. We actually don't have an intent to drill on those. We actually plan on partnering with one of the major 5 to come in and do it for us and just get a royalty on it. That's really, at the end of the day, we're just looking for royalties. So we'll locate, we will use our license to get them on shore, and we are the only ones that have it, so they have to come through us to get it.
Hey, and I was in Nebraska, and he just set up my my shots and pills or whatever I got to get for tomorrow, and so we're going to be out there. I'm not looking forward to it, but well, I'm looking forward to going. I'm not looking forward to all the shots, but so yeah, so there's going to be about 30 of us going. You know, I was blown away when I went to Nebraska, you know, just getting to talk. You know, I come from South Louisiana originally, so you know, everything rises and falls in the oil field, and you know, so getting to talk to people that are working over there and everything, it was just phenomenal. And one of the most incredible things that I saw, you know, we're driving for hours and all of a sudden there's this massive well with 18 wheelers everywhere and everything like that. And so anyway, it's exciting. Yeah, we're about to be a bunch of us are about to be in Ghana, and even Colby Jones is coming. So we're gonna video it all, so everybody will get to see it.
Nice.
So as far as Validia projects, we're doing everything we can for the IX community to make sure that they can get all the validity they need. I think the Nebraska was a huge thing for them going out there. But you know, these are sites, guys, we've been working with for minimum 2 to 3 years, and on the outside 15 years. So these are very long established projects that we basically brought into the debt ecosystem. We had them well before the debt ecosystem ever came around.
Are you considering starting your own blockchain or at any stage? Or
great question. We launched on the BNB network because candidly it's cheaper to go public and use the smart chain. We do plan on going over to the debt chain. That is just time, and it's a lot of programming. We've up to about 27 programmers right now. I do feel we'll probably double that this year. It's a lot more expensive to do our own thing, but I think it's more important for us to get on our own chain and away from everything else to be more in control. And I do plan on doing that, and that is part of our roadmap for debt.
Yeah, could you explain that you were originally tied to wrap BNB, your debt token, and when BNB came down, like everything else came down, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, that it pulled your debt token down a little bit, so you unraveled from that. Is that correct? Or
that is correct. A lot of our liquidity was tied into BNB between $300 and $400, and so as BNB basically dropped in half, it shrunk most of our projects on the blockchain by even though BNB dropped by about 48%. The selling pressure that added with the 48% drop, we got hit by about a 55 to 56% hit in our token price. Most of that has recovered since we put debt on there, but it's basically stabilized everything, because now we're going to live and die by ourselves instead of having a third-party project with the high volatility going through. It's great when it goes up. It's not great when it comes down, and I prefer just to be more stable. So linking everything back into debt, we still do have pairings with debt to BNB. It's just a much smaller liquidity pool, so it won't pull us down or take us up as quick, but it does give people another resource to, instead of taking Tether, to go into BNB. Grow is also paired with BNB, and so is Black Gold, because it was initially paired with BNB. So, but we don't intend to launch any more tokens on BNB or pair with BNB ever again. Is
there a debt project itself where people can accumulate the debt token, or is it about translating the project tokens back to debt, or what's the deal there?
Well, there's 15,000 licenses released first year. They sold out in 3 weeks. So that's a project that is completely sold out. Having said that, the Debt Council gets to release 5,000 licenses every year for the next 3 years. It's a total of 30,000 licenses available. So in January 1st, 5,000 debt licenses will be available out to the public. We're not releasing the starting prices of those or sales of them yet. That'll be announced probably 2 weeks heading into the first of the year. But yes, great question. There is a project, but it sold out literally within weeks of us launching it.
Super. I heard you guys found a large body of water in the United States. You're allowed to speak on that. Even conceptually sounds like a really cool thing.
Not yet.
Okay. Fair enough. Can you talk a little bit about any of the stuff that's coming up? I know it's coming soon. But,
yeah, I can. In fact, Yeah, IX was actually in Barcelona a few weeks ago, and we gave them a list of projects for 2023. Carbon, which is basically backed by carbon credits, is actually something that we'll be releasing first part of the year. Main reason is we're trying to become a carbon neutral company. And so obviously when we're in fossil fuels, we need to buy carbon credits anyway. We might as well get into the carbon credit game. We've got relationships to do that. Actually been in the carbon credit trading business for a minute. We get a lot of carbon credits from our agricultural grow token anyway. And so we're basically monetizing those off to become a carbon neutral company and create a revenue source for its own token. Next will be our BLOX token. Our BLOX will be in real estate. It's a investor only, basically a hard money fund is the best way to kind of look at it. It's something I was going to launch last year. Unfortunately, real estate just hadn't corrected the way I thought it was going to, but I feel it's coming shortly. So we're going to go ahead and launch that up first of the year as well. We believe it'll be a great opportunity to get some investors the capital they're going to need and let them deal with it. We'll basically just be the bank behind the scenes. We've got Swipe, which is our merchant terminal and ecosystem. Everybody understands that every time you swipe a card, there's interest fees and that going with it. Well, we just partnered with MasterCard, and that'll be announced here in the next week. It's actually going to come out next week. So you guys get, yay, starting in November 1st, we're starting to integrate with MasterCard for all of our ecosystem. That gives everybody access to liquidity within minutes. So you can actually go ahead and load up your card. You can go ahead and take their debt token directly over to your wallet. You can say tap off your card, and you can swipe it anywhere you need to for groceries, gas, or anything else you need. Part of those fees are all going back into its own token, and we're actually giving that back to the ecosystem. We're going to allow them to basically do the burns and actually get to a place they can participate in all that revenue. That's probably the small ones I'll start you with and kind of go. But we've got a lot of fun stuff coming up, guys, and it's hard
Jason,
to keep my mouth shut.
Jason, is there any truth in the rumor that your name is Satoshi Jason Nakamoto?
No, it's not. It is not, unfortunately. But having said that, we are having a lot of fun, and I can tell you, without Bitcoin, I would not be here today. Without blockchain, this world would be totally different. And I see so much advantage basically heading into this space, both for direct sales companies and honestly for just mom and pop shops. I mean, if you understand the benefit of kind of getting the supply chains even to blockchain for Walmart's, the Targets, this has really changed the world forever. And for produce, for instance, for Walmart, everything's on the blockchain already. So if they ever have a recall, they can actually pinpoint it directly to a store. That's the benefit of it. They don't have to sit there and do mass regional recalls anymore. They can track any bad produce directly to a single location and basically pull it off the shelves immediately. That saves millions of dollars in the ecosystem. So blockchain works in so many different ways. We're using it for one, obviously, but I believe blockchain is something that everyone should get their head wrapped around in a big way because it will literally change everything that we do in life, I think, over the next 3 or 4 years.
Do you think people should be creating a portfolio of the project tokens and mixing that with debt, or should it be get out of the project? Does it help you that we get out of the project token over to debt token, or what do you think the balance should be in our network? And we're not financial advisors, but you'd like a bit of everything, I suppose.
I have been a financial advisor in the past life. Having said that, crystal ball in the world, I will tell you, debt is very stable. You do see some drops. I mean, we've been as high as 24, we've been as low as 9. But it hasn't happened overnight. It's very slow moving up or down. And so you may see it at 12.20, you may see it at 12.70 in a day, 50 cents. In the ballpark of things, it's 1 or 2%. The other tokens have a much higher upside when we announce huge news. So in my own personal portfolio, and I'll talk about myself, everybody wonders how much money has Jason Anderson pulled from this ecosystem since day one. The answer is 0. I have never actually taken a penny out of this ecosystem. I fund it every single week for payroll and everything else. I keep my tokens directly into the ecosystem. I do have debt licenses as well, so I do mine debt token. But I believe the upside potential when we get through some of the underlying assets and we start the production, there won't be anything I could possibly do in debt that's not going to happen in the individual tokens. And we're talking a major upside. And we're talking 3 to 4x very shortly in a couple of these projects just from some of the announcements. I can't get that in debt. So I do like having the portfolio of tokens personally out there because I have a much higher upside and I don't think my downside is any riskier than staying in debt.
Well,
Boom
Kevin,
stock, boom stock.
do you want to close it off? I want to be respectful for,
Yeah, absolutely.
because I want him back again. And Jason,
Absolutely.
Well, you already went over by 20 minutes, Brian, but I'll let you have a mulligan today.
But thank you so much, and we're very, and the fact you let us record it. Kevin, you want to close this thing out?
No, he's been very generous. Jason's been very generous with his time. I learned some new stuff. Thank you for foreshadowing some other cool things for those that kind of stuck it out and got on here. We're really respectful of what you guys have put together. Myself, I'm a little bit different than some, I think, on the call. Whereas, like, you know, you're supposed to trust but verify. Some people like verify but verify. I'm like, when I get a vibe for somebody at a really deep level, I'm a little extra trusting, I guess. It's like, I like hearing that you had it locked down. You know, some people are worried about you're going to edit the blockchain and steal money. And then I find out from you that you locked it down so hard, you can't even get in. You know what I mean? Which I wasn't shocked to hear that, because that's what I'm already kind of feeling where I'm going. But I know other people need to hear it. But, you know, I know where this is going. I'm super excited. And I just want a call like this for other people to get up to our level so we can all just focus on running and growing the whole ecosystem. So super ecstatic about the opportunity and your transparency and your availability as well.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Quite honestly, we love the feedback, and we're getting a lot more kind of coming through. I do encourage everybody to speak with the individuals that got you on the phone, because I get a lot of feedback from IX, which I'm not saying it makes my roadmap any different, but I do like to know that I need to be more one directional or more focused to give more information out quicker than we probably would have. And so I think the biggest thing we're kind of having is the burn. So I'm actually really glad we went over that today, and you will actually see that in fine point writing, and in that, I believe, in the next couple weeks. We're currently right now working on getting those up and published so that we have those explainer videos going out into the new app that IX will be distributing out, along with graphics that you guys can actually point to for how a burn works, what the burn wallet is, how the tokenomics kind of work around that. We're going to try to be a lot more transparent with that, which I think will help a lot of your consumer base as well.
Yeah, we're getting that question a lot about that. If you burnt 6 million of tokens in a message, why do we not see it on the exchange? So can you just clarify that again? Why can we not see that being bought on the exchange, or can we?
You can. We don't use any third-party exchange other than PancakeSwap. And PancakeSwap, every single transaction, you will see it physically come over. So the wallet that's actually posted up here to my right, it's incremental, so it comes out. Maybe sometimes the trades are $10. Maybe sometimes the trades are $100. Maybe sometimes the trades are $5,000. Maybe sometimes it's $10,000. I know today alone, because we have to get more money in, I know that I saw a couple $50,000 and $60,000 tickets. So you just have to look for them, but they're there.
Thank you.
Yep.
Awesome.
Any more BLG licenses coming available for rentals? Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jason.
Yes. Yes, that's a great question. And they will be coming out with a 30-day cycle shortly. But so that's an IX thing, not a debt box thing.
Yeah. Thank you, Jason.
All right. Awesome. This has been fantastic. I think we're good for now. We can go over this.
Recording stopped.
And yeah.
Perfect. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. We'll all talk soon.